Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones.
Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones. Magic.
Buddhism ritual.
Over 100 million people worldwide practice Voodoo. He said, yeah, you must be one of them fallen angels. And I said, correct. We are the fallen angels.
Black.
Some might call it
Black magic. Pretending as civilized person doing such things.
Magic.
sorcery and witchcraft.
Demons.
It's taboo.
It's taboo.
It's taboo.
We talking about we tapping into ourselves. Magic.
We are the ones that got trapped down here in the physical and became mindless slaves for a remnant of God who once was our children.
Black.
Have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become?
Cause ain't none of them niggas come under this mess. Impotent are ancestral. Cause ain't none of them niggas come under this mess.
Only an insider knows the secrets and mysteries.
Why down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
If you want to plumb the secrets of voodoo, you'll have to wait for the end of the world.
What is reality?
The real trick to life is not to be in the know, but be in the mystery.
Is everyone a mystery? What's happening within us will create what's happening outside of us.
I'm Indian custom.
In Haiti, the Caribbean, and New Orleans, they practice voodoo.
Black magic.
We're going to pour libations to none other than our own power.
Dead ancestors.
Voodoo practitioners. Altars.
The witch gods of the African Congo.
Black magic. Ceremonies.
Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo jumbo. Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo jumbo.
If you have long enough, never dismiss anything as mumbo jumbo.
I read Dr. Chronicles. Everybody just says kiss them, but I know it's real. That's how I do my magic on the court.
You think you don't fight the white man with some goddamn brooms? Is you fucking crazy? Fuck it. You think you don't fight a white man with a goddamn gun? Nigga, is you crazy? Only way you can fuck that cracker up is on this shit. Dark side, nigga. Dark side. Dark side.
I just want to give thanks again for everybody coming out for the third and final part of the series. Today we're dealing with indigenous people rising through ritual. As we know, Bobby's kind of opened up a few gateways over the last few days. So we're here again just to give a shout out to yourselves and to the man himself, Bobby Hemmitt.
All right. I want to thank Brother Darren for bringing me, Sister Rosanna, Brother Israel is the MC. And you know, you always got the brother has a couple of DVDs out, so you need to support the people who's in your area bringing this particular information. You know, we're going to take it back across the water, but they say a king is without honor in his own home, and too often, you know, we don't support our own people because we see them every day. It's just like there's a guy in Detroit, Michigan, and all. He does he's a martial artist, and he does a lot of stuff with magical mushrooms, a lot of comedic information and all. But they had a major conferences in Detroit, melanin conferences, and they never would invite the brother. You see, and I think they did. They invited him one time, and then invited him again. So we good for that. You know, sending way out for people. But then again, on the other hand, I'm glad to see brothers and brothers rising up in the UK and every place else. You know, so I'm glad you came out. You know, I'm glad you came out tonight. And what we're going to do is, because we, how many new faces in the crowd? It wasn't here the last couple of days. Raise your hands. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to do part refresher, lecture, and the whole ritual. Now, we got a whole lot of rituals and a whole lot of things to do that can help you. And that's what we got to get back in as is indigenous people, is get back into our ritual and can't be spooked out over the last couple of 100 years of religion that tells you that this is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get into all of that. And it's interesting because I went to do a lecture on Black History Month in the February of, because it's February over in the States, February of 2007. I was invited to go to Black History Month to this college. When I got there, the whole college was white by two, and it was like 2 classrooms I did one day and I did the other day. It was only like 2 black people in each class. But it was strange because all of the white people in the school was hip hoppers. I mean, the mannerisms and all the stuff, you know, that hip hop is taking over the world. And so after the class we went to see a Voodoo vocal master at another college. And at another college, and went there and went to his house, got to sipping on some stuff, and and he had all these altars, and I ended up missing the plane. Okay, so he sent some other people out to get me because I would have to catch the plane the next day, the next morning. And that's, I don't know if it is here. If you ever miss the plane, there's this policy. If you miss the plane, and you know you missed the plane, go to the airport and they'll put you on the next flight for free. If you call in, they'll charge you money. I'm quite sure it's the same policy. But anyway, I had to go. He sent one guy from Yemen and another guy from Kurdistan, which is the Kurds in Iraq. And they came and picked me up. And they was telling us these stories on how although Islam is the fundamental religion, their family always kept their rituals for thousands of years up under Islam. So it would be like this. You know, the Islam is the predominant religion. They say no ideology, no idolatry, no ritual. So this thing became more of a custom of a family, just like you would go and prepare meals. And you would go and it become a family tradition. So just like you say, well, let's eat this macaroni, it's a family tradition. The family tradition became these rituals up under a dominant, oppressive force of religion. You see what I'm saying? So in so many words, they never got rid of their rituals of the old times, the ancient Kushite Arabia, the Arabia of Muhammad's father. They never forgot those rituals. They just went underground and became tradition of the family. You see what I'm saying? But they never got rid of them. But it was just interesting, one thing, and I think we can learn from people in other cultures. They came to pick me up because he said, I'm sending these 2 Arab brothers, the Kurd and the Yemenite. And they come pick you up. So what happened was, I'm going to let you do the MC in a minute, but I just want to say this. So what happened was, because you got on the red, so you coming with the power, we're going to need that energy. So what happened was, I went in, they pulled up to get some gas. So I went into the little gas station store and was getting ready to buy something. The brother said, let me get that for you, brother. And so I said, well, okay. I said, well, I got the money. He said, no, let me get it. So he got it and he bought it. And then we went back to the professor and he said, well, you're going to have to stay at my house. He said, I know Ogun blocked you from leaving out, from flying out, because there was some work, so there's something that had to be done. So anyway, he said, well, we're going to go by there because we ate at an Ethiopian restaurant earlier that day. He said, well, what's open eyes? We got a real good Chinese restaurant, because it's late. He said, but this is one of the better ones. We'll go there. So we went there and started eating. So I got up from the table and went to go pay for another drink, a ginger beer and something else that they had back, some kind of pie or something. They had some kind of cookie. And the other guy from Yemen, because the one who bought the food bought me the drink or something at the gas station. He had to go home or something. So the other guy from Yemen came up and he said, tell me you didn't pay for that. So I said, what's the big deal? He said, please tell me you didn't pay for that. And so the other brother, the professor, pulled me to the side. He said it's tradition in their custom that the youngest person buys everything. He said that's tradition in their culture. He said so it's kind of disrespectful if you don't let him buy whatever. He's gonna pay for the whole meal because he was the youngest of the crowd. And in so many words, I said, well, man, I said, shoot, I wish we had something like that in our community. And so in so many words, it still shows some form of extended family that we have gotten out of. You see what I'm saying? We have become so selfish till there's very few people that we help. And I'm a complete stranger, but then again, on the other hand, I'm saying maybe these are some customs that we used to have as black people, whereas everybody took care of everybody. In this particular case, the custom was, you the youngest, you pay. And it was such a custom till he was actually getting offended. But I said, no, brother, I haven't paid for it yet. You're welcome to pay for it. So it's just interesting how that happened. But but the thing that really surprised me is on how they still got all this magic and all these rituals right in Arabia, Yemen, Iraq. But it's just a family tradition which makes it underground. Which leads me to one other story is, I got a friend named Darrell Rice, and I call him Darrell by mistake sometimes, because I was so used to calling Darrell, and his name is Darren. So, but he reminds me of Darrell Rice. So what happened was this particular brother, his family, you know, they holy rollers, they holy sanctified, and all of this. But every time he come home, they want a ritual to help them with something. You see what I'm saying? And he was like, I'm not going to give them no more rituals, man, because they don't want to hear none of this knowledge. You know, it's all about Jesus or what have you, but they want a ritual. I say, well, maybe that's their subconscious mind or the genetic memory bank reminding them that this is something that they used to have to do back in the day. You know, it's about like they say the Catholic, the people in Haiti, in the daytime, they Catholic, so they can get all the stuff the church can get. And at night, they into the voodoo. And the Catholic is talking against the voodoo. They don't pay them no bit of attention. They already know that they're not going to abandon their tradition. So in the daytime, they Catholic and they get whatever the church, all the hands out. And at night, they go down and get down with their ritual. And that's the thing what we have to do. You have to accept your energy again and your ritual, and don't be scared of it. Now, I got one last thing that I want to say before we hand it over. My brother went down to see some people. They call them the Gumi people. Because there was the Gumi people in the southern part of South Carolina, which is the Gullah part of South Carolina, which is the only language that's left behind in America, is the Gullah language. It comes from either Angola, they said that Asa Hilliard said, there's several other places, but I also know the Congo is mixed up in that. But he went down to get a reading from these people. And from these people, they call them the Gumi people because they're patterned after Oshun Gumi. And he got this reading, this ritual, and he was walking out the door, and he saw this mysterious castle-like building. He said, oh my God, that's a mysterious looking building. He said, I haven't seen anything like that in South Carolina. He said, what is it? And the people told him, said, look, when the Africans got out of slavery, they said they had Igbo, Hausa, maybe some Dogon, some Yoruba, some Akan. They just had several different nations that had preserved their way of worship. And so what they would do is they built this one building, and how it is in America, if you're in school, you have the home room at first for a few minutes, and then the bell rings and you go to your different classes or whatever you're studying. So they had this one building where they'd have this opening ceremony. It's almost like homeroom. And they have an opening ceremony, and then after a certain point in the ceremony, they would break, and the different people, different traditions, Yoruba, Akan, this and that, would go to that particular side of the church or that particular area of this particular building and do their ceremony, their worship, and then they would meet back up and have a general benediction and a general ceremony and benediction. So they said that the white man came in and saw this thing and said, oh no. And he said he built them a Christian church across the street, and the other building was abandoned, and it was almost like it wiped out a whole generations after that because they all became Christians. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to say, if we don't think it's valuable, that white boy knew when he saw that magnificent thing that was going on that he had to stop that. It's just like integration. The best way to keep you in a hole is to get down in that hole with you, you see. So, with no further ado, we're going to bring on the master of ceremony. You got to deal.
Are you going to say something? Okay.
Give it up for Brother Israel still, man.
Okay, man.
All right.
First and foremost, being that today is the last day, could you please give a warm round of applause for Ancient Future and Muata Books for making this happen. Also, another round of applause for Bobby Hemmitt as well, because he's been working.
Yes.
As you all know, today is the last day. Indigenous people rising through ritual. Today's the real, the knockout blow. So, like I was saying yesterday, you know, make sure you take these practices and start applying them to your life, to your everyday life. You understand? Bobby's just explained it based on the people who gave you religion. They're using the voodoo behind closed doors. I'm from a tribe of the Yoruba back in Nigeria, and when I go there, I'm initiated. I'm even, in the next couple of years, want to arrange a tour there, where I will take you to certain places, because people are still not grasping how this magic thing, whether it's real or not. And I'll take you to certain places, and I'm telling you, it's a different world. Things that you could only dream of, that Hollywood show you and all that, I'm telling you, I've seen it for real. Shape-shifting, the whole works. I know brothers that are initiated into certain orders, and based on their levels of degree in the order, the priesthood that they initiated into. I went to a house in Nigeria, in Ife. 2 priests were going through their initiation. They had to lock them in a room. Head priest said to them, I'm coming back in 5 minutes. Gave them a bottle each, empty bottle, and said, it better be full with water by the time I come back. That's alchemy. He used to give them a number of tasks. Sometimes he would come back, he'd say, he wants granite oil. He wants palm oil in there. Whatever the case. When they reach a certain level, he'd come back, he said, when you come back, I want to see a tiger or a lion in this room. That's real deal science. They were waking up priests. I was in a shrine in Ife. They were waking up priests 1 o'clock midnight. They don't give them no light. These people have to enter forest as thick as you can, the thickest jungle you can ever picture. And they'd have to pick out certain leaves that could heal people in different aspects. They might have to pick out 100 different leaves. And I was talking to the priest the next day, and he said, you know, he was real happy that, you know, he passed his, you know, like his exam. And I was like, well, how did you know which leaves to pick? And he said, well, the trees. You got to listen to the trees. The trees tell me, the ants, all the insects within the forest tell me which ones to pick. So real deal science. When they talk about shape-shifting, you go to Nigeria when they're doing their festivals, the Yoruba festivals, I've seen people pouring water in baskets and stuff like that, and the water don't leak out. Real deal science. So my mother and father, which is something I can't understand today, they're locked down in this Christianity thing. I mean, my mom's made the transition to the ancestral realm now, but when she was alive, she was in the church. Father's in the church. My father, he's in London right now. I can take you to where he's staying. He's staying at one of my sisters, and he will testify for you. He rolls with his shit. He's in the church, but he's got his voodoo. I'm talking, he stops it rain when you don't use umbrella, nothing. It's forbidden for him to use an umbrella. I don't care how heavy it's raining out there, and when he steps out, I guarantee you, not a speck of water will not touch him. Wherever he stays, it's dry. That's the kind of voodoo stuff. You understand? So I still can't understand why he's in the church on the other hand, but on the other hand, when shit hits the fan, he's running to the voodoo priest. You understand? So these are the kind of things that, all of these abilities, you have them inside of you. You understand? Okay, fair enough, you may need a bit of guidance for someone to show you how it's done, which is why we're here today. Mr. Bobby's going to be showing you rituals.
Take your time, man.
He's going to be, well, we got until 10 o'clock tonight, so that's cool. He's going to be showing you rituals, certain magical rituals that you can practice, blessing the home and stuff. These are basic stuff. You understand? I personally, no disrespect. It's like the rituals on that level now. It's like they bore me now. I want to be moving on to disappearing. When I go back to the priest back in Nigeria, I'm telling her, don't be giving no hogwash business. I want the real stuff. You understand? But, you know, they know that it's a gradual process. Every time I have to go through a certain process of learning, and it's like, okay, now you're eligible, hold this. You understand? And they give you give me bits and pieces, which I have. You understand? So a lot of this stuff, you'd be amazed, in the ancient world was real basic stuff. You understand? Things that you classify as serious voodoo, I can show you 5-year-old, 6-year-old, they just look at it and laugh at you and say, what's that? You understand? Shootouts and nobody dropping. You understand? These are the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You understand? I have stuff in my house right now that when I pull it, you can bring your best weapon. And I guarantee you, see, this is in the movie The Matrix. If you remember in the first Matrix, where Morpheus was with Neo, and he was walking him, and he looked at the woman in the red dress. Everybody remember that part? And there was a specific incident when he turned around and Morpheus was talking to him, and Neo said to him, "What are you trying to tell me, that I can dodge bullets?" And Morpheus said, "No. When the time comes, you won't need to." And that's the kind of voodoo I'm talking about. That's real ritual. Where I'm talking like people that I can walk in a crossfire and you keep firing, because I ain't dropping. And that's how sure I am of this stuff. You understand? So it's real deal science. And I know Mr. Bobby's, he knows. He knows his stuff. That's why when I was watching the DVDs, all the information, there was only certain people that I was like, that's my shit. Occult is right up my alleyway, man. The dark side. You understand? That's me. You understand? My queen will testify I'm here. I'm straight dark side. You understand? I want people to fuck with me sometimes. So I got armory that I want to test. It's just sitting there on the altar at home and it ain't doing nothing. And I want to test it out. So I'm hoping someone can come and say, you know, who are you looking at? I said, yeah. Oh, yes. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You understand? Because when the European has his weaponry and his guns, and they're bringing out new guns, they can't wait to get into certain places where they can test it out. Oh, new gun, new Desert Eagle, and they want to go to certain places where they want to test out their armory. And I understand why they would feel like that. Because when priests back home in Nigeria give me certain things, I'm like, whoa, yeah, really? I can fuck up a nigga with this? No problem. So I'm waiting for some people to, but it never comes my way. I go peacefully, I come home peacefully, no one fucks with me. I'm like, and I've got the shit. You understand? So that's the way it works. But at least I know that it's there. You understand? You need things like this in your life. Whether it be talismans, amulets, things of protection. You understand? Because there's a war out there and it's not fought on a physical level. Forget it. It is not. It's fought on a metaphysical level and it manifests in the physical. So what you see is the result. You understand? The cause of it has already taken place in the metaphysical plane. You understand? And you see the end and you think that you're going to try and solve it by running around and doing marchings and appealing and protesting to the government and all that lot. And they just look at you and, you know, that's why you go to them. You want to march and you got to go to them to get permission. I don't see the sense in it. I've never seen the sense in it. You understand? I've never seen the sense in it. Just the other day we were in down the radio station and the brother was telling me about somebody shot his brother and then he was saying to me, well, if someone shot your brother, what would you do? And he was expecting me to say, yeah, I'll go and get my gun and shoot. No, I'll go to the altar. I know exactly where to go because I'm not dealing with you. You know what I'm saying? By the time you get hit left and right, you don't even know where it's coming from. You understand? So I won't even be a suspect. You understand? So this is the stuff I'm talking about. You've got to really get into this magic. You understand? And it's based on thoughts. You project it. A lot of this stuff is just tools and instruments that help you amplify that. You understand? And that's what our ancient ancestors were dealing with. All these imageries and stuff and symbols were based on geometric shapes that help amplify thoughts. You understand what I'm trying to say? So you put the initial intent in there and then when it hits home, trust me, you definitely see the results. You understand? So without further ado, I'm not going to hold up your time. I'm going to bring in the master occultist. Mr. Bobby Hemmitt, man.
All right. Now y'all give y'all own a black hand. try to get him in the states that half British, half Nigerian accent will go over good over there, you know what I'm saying? It's all about showmanship and show business, you see. You know, so it'll authenticate things. See, people from far away to come tell them things. You see what I'm saying? And so that will work. We're going to get into a lot of ritual today, and I want you to give a black hand to my queen. Yeah. So as a result, you know, she's going to be given a lot of magic stuff. I very do little magic now. For the simple fact I don't have to, because she does all that stuff. You see, all types of things. So we talk about to the basic household information, to great information with whether you can do just about anything. And it's interesting here because I got a Nigerian friend down in Atlanta, and he was telling me, Obatawale is his name, and he was telling me how they got some Africans that can take an egg and throw at your house and burn your house down. Burn your house down with an egg. And I was on the train one day, the subway one day, and I was telling some people about, you know, the magic and different things like that. And one guy said, well, so roots work, 'cause that's real big in South Carolina and Georgia. We call it roots. And I'm from that root working area, and my family was probably upper mobile. We was like high middle class, so a lot of times we got roots worked on us, and different things like that. But I'm from an area where we had a neighbor that was what they call a root man, and when he died, all kind of lizards and snakes and snails and everything came out of him. You see what I'm saying? Now that might sound gross and grotesque, but it's trying to show you magical dimensions, you see, on how real this stuff is. And this I was telling some people on the train, and the guy said, so roots is real? I said, yeah. And here goes again. He said, my father, you know, he didn't say much. He's a family man. He didn't say much, a good Christian. He said, but every time we would go somewhere, he would always have this black bag that he would put in the trunk of the car. He never would tell us what it was. And so in so many words, this was a guy on the train saying that no matter where we caught our, what later thing, religion or later tradition we caught ourselves into, or we found ourselves into, some people still kept the ancient magic, and you can do both. And it was very, and so the guy was telling me about this, and then another Nigerian brother on the train said, hey, you better listen to that guy, that is real. And so he said that they got a group of Africans on the continent that they don't let off the continent. They can't get through, no visa, they can't get nothing. He said because every day at 12 o'clock they could walk into a bank and rob the bank blind, and nobody will ever see them. And he said they don't even let these you know. So what happened was as a result, what it is based on the influx of Islam, the influx of Christianity and different things, where it used to be a common ground that people did magic in the ancient world, these things started becoming close-knit and relegated to certain families. So where it used to be the whole communities are doing this, in Africa it started becoming certain families would do these things. And certain families. And so in a way that is the way, in a way it's good because they kept the tradition alive. But on the other hand, they could pinpoint those families and say you can't leave the continent. You see. Now I was in New Jersey. Brother came up and handed me a $100 bill. Brother from Nigeria. He said when he was leaving to go to college, his mother and them gave him a ritual. And they told him, you do this ritual and you'll pass every test known to man. And him being the younger generation, he don't want to hear that because he's all westernized. and he's got into the okie doke and got duped. This is the guy was telling me in Trenton, New Jersey. He got duped. He said, I went and studied in school, went and got my undergrad, went and got my master's, and went and got my PhD, and I worked like a dog and became almost mentally ill with all the studying I had to do. He said, and I never thought about that ritual my family gave me. He said, about 10 years after he graduated, got his PhD, years later, about 10 years after he got his PhD, he said another Nigerian knocked on his door and said, hey, that ritual your parents gave you about 17 years ago, I need it. He said, okay, here, take it. Okay, here, take it. He said this guy here was partying, going on vacations, never studying, and passing all the tests, made the dean's list and all of that. He said, now look at that, I almost killed myself because I didn't believe what my parents said, and now they got this young guy 17 years later having a ball and doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's just interesting on how certain things can happen. So we all have, if we choose to not ignore or just think back in our lives, some of the people, you will know that somebody in your family was always doing certain things. You know, it's just like one time I because we were scientists. One time I had an abscess in the tooth. I had to go down to I was a student, so I didn't have no money. I had to go down to the free clinic and stand in line all day, you know, and all just to get some antibiotics and all that, and got home, and you can't drink milk for a week. You can't do nothing, and you can't eat this for a week, so the antibiotics taken. When I got home that night, one girl said, well, I wish you would have called me. All you had to do, my grandmama, all you got to do with a abscess is to take lemon extract and put on it, and it takes it down in a few minutes. You see, but these are remedies and stuff. Now you say, well, how does somebody know about lemon extract? But these are remedies that our people used to channel from the ethers and tell people what to do. And different things. So the point I'm trying to make here is we all have these things in our families and stuff that we ignore. And we have to get back to, and all, because it's kind of taboo. Somebody has convinced us that it's taboo to do magic. You see what I'm saying? Taboo to do magic. So what I want to do right now is I want to recap a couple of things and show you a couple of overlays that I didn't get to show on the last portion of the lectures, the last 2 days. But I think this one is very important. Now let's see if we can cut off the lights.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
See?
You got one main switch?
Darren, can you? Is it light?
Is there a light? Okay. Can everybody see that? We can try to get it as, of course, we got the sunlight, so there's only so much we can do. But let me try to explain what's going on and where the actual magic is coming from. When we're talking about magic now, it's no spookism in this. It's actual science. The magic is ultimately coming from inside of you. And the only thing you are doing is giving a series of rituals or a series of channels and connections to draw that out, which is on the inside of you. So they say that the kingdom is within. And this is an excellent picture of a chakra, basic chakra, which is 7 major African deities. The Orishas, and there's more than that. There's 7 major ones. There's 7 chakras. There's 7 seals. And the 7s go on and on by the hundreds. And Jeremiah's Ancient Egypt Light of the World, in the index, the whole Egyptian mythology, Christian mythology, or what have you, the 7s is all through it. But ultimately, 7s go back down to 7 wheels of light, which is the chakras. And what this is actually showing here is, this is a chakra. And this is a whole world going on the inside of a chakra, on the inside of your body. Get the movie Osmosis Jones with Bill Murray. It's a whole movie that takes place inside of his body. And they're going through turmoil in the inner world because he eats so much bad food. You see what I'm saying? So, to give you a simulation on what's going on is on the inside, it is within. Let me give you another example. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Put at the back, can't see the
Oh, okay.
video. Is it possible to put it up on something?
No, that?
They can't see it.
Oh.
Nah, I don't know.
That can't go up. Can't stand on that.
Let's see if we can go back some.
Okay. All right.
Let's see if we can go back some. Yeah. Okay, they got that middle one, so let's just go back. That's better. Okay, now let's just push this up. Yeah. Let's see how far. There we go. Let's see now. Can they see better now? That's better? Okay, yeah, that makes it even darker too. So there's a whole world that's going on the inside of us. Now, I want to show you this picture. Because a lot of you remember this, because 40 years ago in the United States, 40 years ago, I want to show you this picture, but while I'm looking for that picture, I'm going to put this up. This is a book that you need to get. This is a book called The Dreamer's Book of the Dead. The Dreamer's Book of the Dead. And what this is, it's this white guy that was studying, I think, W.B. Yeats or somebody, and some type of an entity came through, and he called himself, but it was a Moorish figure. It was Africanus, but it wasn't the French, the Roman Africanus that we know that Africa was named after. But then again, that's debatable too, because one of our masters, C. Freeman L., found Africa in the Book of the Dead. In the Book of the Dead. So, you know, but this is a book called The Dreamer's Book of the Dead by Robert Moss. And what it was, this African figure, dark Moorish figure, came through and gave him the contents of this book. And the book is in print now. It's only been out a couple of years, in the 2000s. And gave him the content of this book and said, and this book is designed for you to get in touch with your family members who made the transition. And what makes it more authentic is that this particular book was given to this white guy by an African, or he called a dark Moorish figure called Africanus. Not the Africanus, the Roman general, but Africanus or Moor. They gave him the contents, and it's supposed to, you're supposed to read the book and study the book, and you'll be able to get in touch with loved ones. So this is an excellent book. It's called The Dreamer's Book of the Dead by Robert Moss. And it's interesting because the guy handed me the book at a lecture in New York City that I had done, and 4 days later my mother made the transition. But it's eerie because the people was like, oh man, I can't believe this, because for some reason I just felt compelled to go into the history of my mother's life in the lecture. And it was almost like I eulogized her 4 days before she died. And she didn't die, she just sat on the couch one day and just burnt up in flames and ascended in flames and burnt down the house. That's called spontaneous human combustion. And a lot of Europeans go through it when the energy is too powerful. But then again, it's also a form of ascension to the gods and goddesses. And then when we ascend, we take the whole house with us. And that's what happened to her. Now this is interesting here because I want to show you this. 40 years ago, this happened at the 1968 Olympics. And anybody remember this famous picture? Yeah. Well, let me show you on the temple walls where that comes from. This is the original one of the Black Power symbol called the souls of P and Death. I try to put it up as high as I can. The souls of P and Death. This is on the temple walls of Karnak. Ipetaisu is the real name for it, as Dr. Asa Hilliard, who just made the transition last year. Anybody heard of Dr. Asa Hilliard? Yes. And as a result, he made the transition, but guess who brought his body back to the States? Barack Obama. you know, Barack Obama. And that was a ritual. I'll go into that, what was set up when he did that. And this is the reason why he could beat Hillary Clinton. There's some maneuver stuff that happened. But anyway, at the Temple of Karnak, this is the original Black Power symbol. Now to show you that this is a rendering, a drawing, but on one of the papyrus on the Robert Moss Dreamer's Book of the Dead, here's a real papyrus at the top with the same thing. In this case, it's got Heru Horus, the Christ, Anubis, another form of the Christ, and the Pharaoh in the middle, which is another form of the Christ. You see. But here's the same thing. Now, what does this all mean? Does this justify going out and putting you on your black leather jacket and your berets and going out with machine guns of the 1960 Black Power? What does it mean? What does it mean? Well, first of all, let me break this down. A panther that has panther skins, which is gold type skin, yellowish gold type skin and little black dots, is panther skin. And the Egyptian priests used to wear those panther skins. See if I can find one. I'll call it the kunsu. If I can find the Egyptian priests used to wear those panther skins, but it represent the yellow and the gold, which the little dots represents the black dot, and the gold part represents the sun, or the illumination of the black dot, which is talking about the pineal gland and the crown chakra. But they have another panther called the Black Panther, and it has spots too, but you can't see the spots because of a condition called melanism. So the Black Panther is black, and the condition is called melanism. You see what I'm saying? It's not an abnormal condition. It's just that it's just ironic that people would choose the Black Panther, you see, as a form of a revolutionary symbol, when ultimately the Egyptian priests used to wear it to symbolize melanin. Symbolize melanin. Now, going into what I mean here, does this mean we're supposed to be revolutionaries in that sense? Only if you're trying to defend yourself. Well, I would suggest if you're trying to defend yourself, you need to do anything to get that cracker behind off your behind. In this particular case, any brother behind off your behind. You see what I'm saying? That's just defense. That's the laws of preservation. But the real mystery between of this is this represents a form of melanin and a form of black power that goes on inside of your body. So that's the real mystery of it. Remember I was saying the last couple of days that Farrakhan said in 1985, if our slaves went to war with the ruling class, the slaves would win. And I thought that was ridiculous, because they got all this firepower. But then I said that they had a Sanskrit text that the Indian government was given money to study the vital forces in the body called the Kundalini and the third eye, and they came up with the actual knowledge that there are devices in the body that will come online and destroy everything if threatened by extinction or threatened by genocide. So most of the ruling class has to go secretly and conspire against you. But they will never announce the day of battle. So you don't have to worry about the race war jumping off. They're too clever for that, because they do more damage by being covert than overt.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good to go. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now, they talk about these particular occult forces, and occult means hidden inside of the body. So we're dealing with ultra extra dimensions of melanin. And ultimately, that's what magic is. Magic is only synthesizing the melanin or the occult power inside of you and bringing it through to the physical world. So you can manipulate these energies to do what you want and to maneuver into the physical world. This is something that's coming from inside of you. You understand? So the whole time you were all afraid of these entities that you don't want to deal with, who would ever know that they were on the inside of your body? And this is what I'm trying to convey here as a precursor to magic, to say that all this stuff is going on the inside of us. Y'all, you understand? Going on the inside of us, you see. Now, I just want to go through a few things. This is the ultimate melanin goddess. I got some pictures. I got some black and white pictures of her, which is very powerful. This is the goddess Seshet. There's the god Tahuti. Later on will be the whole mystery of Moses is nothing but the mysteries of Tahuti. There's the staff of Tahuti. There's the staff of Moses. There's the magic of Moses. There's the magic of Tahuti. Moses is one that comes before the Christ. Tahuti is one that comes before Horus and has to rescue Horus from a scorpion bite. And when Horus' eye is torn out by Set, Tahuti is the one that gives him his sight back. So what does that mean? Your eye, you are blind, but you're given sight back by this magical entity. Well, Tahuti is none other than melanin itself, and the sight that is given back to Horus is the third eye, and the whole concept of melanin and the kundalini energy and melanin in the third eye rising from the base of the spine all the way up to the upper room or the pearly gates. You see, so that's what they're talking about when they say giving somebody their sight back. The visionary sight or the sight of Christ. Now, but Tahuti, or Thoth, is Thoth, that's where the word thought comes from. Or Hermes in the Greek, or Hermes in the Greek, or I think it's Iberus in Islam, as also as El Qada, the green one, and Merlin in the Grail mythology, which you are all a part of. We'll deal a little more with that in a few minutes because that's the whole Camelot, the rising of the Camelot, the new lot of Cam. Well, Cam means black land and black people. So if the queen and all of them are looking for the new rise of Camelot, then they got to be talking about black people and they got to be talking about you because you're the ones that's here. You see what I'm saying? So they got to be talking about you. And as I can see, you have multiplied amazingly because I'm riding around and I can't see no different than here in New York City or Harlem. It's black people everywhere. But like I said, in the United States, you would not know it. We think there's 3 or 4 of you over here amongst white people. If God is my witness. They make sure they never show you. And I knew of neighborhoods and all, and I knew there was I said, well, you know, there's a couple of thousand of them over there. You know, that's being sensible to know based on, and that's me thinking outside of what's actually given to me in the media. Because the media is only like 2 or 3 of you all. You see what I'm saying? So it's amazing how they would sequester you and you are non-existent in the United States. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't want to show your power. And that's the British government that's got something to do with that too. Because, and the reason why I say that now, we now get BBC America and we get BBC News on the regular public broadcasting station, and they still don't show you. That's by design. Why? Because it's any type of thing what your oppressor will do. The oppressor will never want to show allies around the world. Now we find out there's black subculture groups throughout Europe. But you would never know it. You see? So that's one of the things they never show allies. We got a History Channel and History International Channel, and African history is non-existent. And the channel is now has been out for 10 years now. And I think I've seen 2 African shows. One of them was with animals. See what I'm saying? So that's by design. That's the politics of keeping the people oppressed. Now the other politics of keeping the people oppressed is to make sure that the Caribbeans, the African Americans, the Eritreans, the Ethiopians, and different parts of the African diaspora never come together. So they pit us against each other. That's why I got to come all the way to England to speak to the Caribbean people. It's not that the Caribbean people are messed up in the United States. It's just that we don't dwindle outside of our given neighborhoods. So the Ethiopians stick to themselves. The Caribbeans stick to themselves. You see what I'm saying? African Americans stick to each other because I don't even think we got no damn unity at all now. Shit. It's like individualism, survival of the fittest, but other than the conscious people. But my point here is that is a tool of the division. You see, it is a tool of division. You see, and so that's one thing that's one trick they can always deal with, is to never have an ally. You never ally with Africa. You never ally with any indigenous people around the earth. You see what I'm saying? Any indigenous people around the earth. So this is how things happen. You see, and they talking about the European Union. You see what I'm saying? Every time they get in a family fight and get a skirmish going on where they get some European that's not getting down with the rest of them, they go to war just to get that person in check. Because they know the importance of a racial union. You see what I'm saying? Now, going back to Hootie is the god of melanin. He's the god of magic. He's the god of writing. He's the god of art. He's the god of science. But he is whispering all his knowledge in his ear through this woman, or this goddess, the goddess Seshet. Remember that name, because she came back to the planet in the fall of 2006. The goddess Seshet, which this symbol on the top of her head represents the pineal gland. Represents the pineal gland. So it's a real power. We got some of these pictures. Make sure you get some of those particular pictures. It's real powerful. Y'all all right? Yeah. Okay then. We just got a few things before we go into the magical aspect of this stuff. We got a lot of good ritual. And I'm quite sure if you got something wrong with you, I know everybody needs some money. I got a little jealous. I said, dang, these pounds, 1 pound is worth $2. I said, 5 pounds is $10. Until I went to the store and found out that everything you got over here costs more and you need an extra $1. I said, oh man, I loved it. Until I walked out of the store for the first time and broke that pound. We had a 50 pounder. Somebody gave us 50 pounds to fly over here. And we broke that 50 pounds and it was gone in 5 seconds. I said, oh no. And we didn't have nothing. We had some sandwiches. I'm like, man, what is this? You know, I could have bought a chair, a pair of pants, and some grapefruit juice with $100. It was gone. So you need that. It say you never get what you pay for. Now, nothing is it's too good to be true. It's probably not true. Now, or probably not good. So this is the goddess Seshet, the goddess of melanin. She is called she who is foremost in the house of books. Very powerful deity, but she's a goddess of the pineal gland. A goddess of the pineal gland. Now I want to show this again because I want to show this one again. I want to show this one again because we still have some of these particular pictures left. This is unique because you've seen King Tut before. But they make sure they never show this one in color. And they make sure they only show about every 10 years in books. There's about 5 different sarcophagus and masks that go with the King Tut. Now you might be able to go down to the King Tut exhibit and see this one. Because I think they let everything out of Cairo but the mummy. You see, they let everything out of Cairo but the mummy. And I don't know what they did, but I'm going to tell you something. They had the King Tut exhibit that came through America in 1979. And every city that it traveled to, the cities got fucked up, got messed up behind it. And the only place that didn't go was Atlanta because Mayor Maynard Jackson stopped it because he had heard some things, and he was the guy, if you heard the radio show, he was the guy, he was the guy whose grandfather wrote this Dobbs ritual that the white Masons use to this day, this black man's book. If you heard the radio show, okay, all right, yeah, okay. All right, well, you got some more tape? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, just kind of push it up there a little bit, yeah. Yeah, okay. Now, so, so this particular, you might be able to see this particular one. What makes this one so unique is the Egyptian priests put the human eyes as exact replica of what King Tut's eyes were when he was living. In so many words, this actually it's a gold, it's amazing because it's a gold sarcophagus, but the eyes make it look like it's an actual gold human looking at you right now. Mm-hmm. It's astonishing. Now, I started drawing this particular, because I'm an artist, I drew this particular King Tut in 1990, and in the middle of staring at the eyes for a while, I went into trance. So it's a very powerful talisman for magic. And I do believe they left these things behind because they knew they could see the future. So they knew that the European was going to dig them up and put them on display. But they left these things behind so that we could have this window into the past to remind us of ourselves and to wake us up out of sleep. Now we know that they had these prophecies. They had the prophecies in the Hermetic text of us going into slavery 5,000 years before we went into slavery. You see. And they say that the rich man, they say that the wise man will be considered dumb and stupid. The stupid man will be considered wise. The weak man will be considered strong, and the strong man will be considered weak. They talk about it in the future. And they say, and this is what it said, and this is astonishing. They say, although your body might look Egyptian or African, your mind would be of another race. Damn. How did they know that 5,000 years ago in the Hermetic text? They say your mind would be of another race. And this is Imhotep is reciting the god Tahuti. I should have a picture of Tahuti, and which is her husband, Seshet. And reciting the god Tahuti, and Tahuti is telling him about this prophecy, how we're going to go into slavery, and all this thing that's getting ready to happen. They said Egypt, which is the most beloved of gods, will become one big graveyard that will be plundered over by archaeologists. And so Imhotep starts to cry and said, will we ever get out of this mess? And he said, yes. He said there will be a land towards the setting sun that a whole group of people will come to. And now I realize that's also Britain. Because if you look at the concept of what they call the West, then Europe is also called the Western tradition. So they said it will be a land in the West that's not established yet. Well, even Britain wouldn't be established 5,000 years ago. But definitely they're talking about America because they said it will be a new Egypt. Well, we know Washington, D.C. is that, and now Las Vegas. With the pyramid at the Luxor Hotel, that the light that shines out of the pyramid is the brightest light on earth. You see, that's not by accident. He said there will be a land at the setting sun, a land in the west, and they will have a group of Egyptians, it says, Akamites, that will come in that land with other, they said, but all races will be in this particular land. But there will be an appendage or an extension or an annex of Egyptians, Akamite, or Africans that will establish Mayat. But that's a multiplicity of things. There's a whole alchemical aspect of Mayat talking about your soul balancing itself out to the God level. You see, other than just the laws of Mayat. So they knew that it was going into slavery 5,000 years ago. But going back, we know that I believe that they took these particular pictures like this, and this is one of the most astonished ones because I saw it in the 80s and I didn't see it again until recently. I had one of the books in the 80s till my brother stole it, and I had to wait a couple of years to get it back. You see what I'm saying? So they don't print this one, and never printed it in color. Imagine what that picture would do in color. Because it's astonishing in black and white. Y'all all right? Yes. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on. I want a few other things I want to deal with right quick. We're dealing with the magic. First of all, you got a house, it's imperative that you get you some cats. This is the god Bass. This is that Necronomicon tarot I was telling you about. This is coming out of that tarot deck. This is the goddess Bass. And she's very powerful. And if you get yourself some cats in your house or around your house, apartment, at this particular time, all the magical things will start happening. They can even heal you. They can even, when you go to sleep, they can give you all kind of warnings and stuff in your dreams. If you get you some kitty cats or some cats. And if you got rats, you won't have that problem no more. Just the smell of a cat. The rat ain't coming around no more. So at this particular time, it's very imperative because the Egyptian temples used to keep cats. And this is the goddess Bass, which is the venerated cat. Now, anybody saw the National Geographic special last week on the science of cats, where they went around the world and they took DNA from all the cats, and they was trying to find out who domesticated the cats. And they took DNA from all the cats from all over the globe. People sent DNA of cats from China, Hawaii, Tibet, all over the world, Europe. And then they went down to Hemmitt and took the DNA from the cats at Abu Simbel, which is a Ramesses tomb. And they found out that all cats' DNA lead back to Hemmitt, and those were the first ones to domesticate the cat. And there's whole systems of science on the cats, you see what I'm saying, that if you got a home or you got a house these days, it'll do you good. Even if you got an apartment that'll allow you to keep a kitten, it'll do you good to get you some cats. But if you got a house, if you don't really like cats, you can if you don't really want to deal with a cat living in the home, you can just get you start feeding a couple of stray cats. But it's interesting how powerful the cats are. We got a cat that the other day, dogs, let me tell you. We got a cat the other day, he's laying on his back, and the dog came up and was chilling with him. Now that's impossible now unless two dogs are raised, the dog and cat are raised together. So it's talking about there's another dimension. So that dog had to have been a form of Anubis. Anpu. You see what I'm saying? It had to be a form of Anubis or Anpu. Which is the sacred jackal of ancient Kemet. You see. We also have these black Anubises also for sale. But this, but it's interesting here about this Anubis. We come to find out that Esoteric, because each person down here represents the energy field of a god or goddess. Esoteric's deity just so happened to be Anubis. And when Barack Obama brought the body back home, that energy transferred to him. You see. And that's why, so by the time he went into the primaries, that's why he started winning. And nobody expected him to go past Iowa, the primaries. But it's an Anubis energy, a Camite energy, and it can use stuff down here just like a dice board or just like a chess board. There's a whole lot of things that's happening right now, very interesting times. But the gods and the goddesses are in charge. But where are the gods and the goddesses? They are inside of you. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right. I want to show this one because this is one reason why they invaded Iraq. They couldn't read the signs. There's a lot of stuff. They invaded Iraq. Here is two eagles. This is on one of the temples. Well, they only have a lot of monuments left in Iraq. It used to be ancient Persia or ancient Babylon or ancient Samaria. That whole Mesopotamian thing. But one of the reasons why they invaded, here is a picture of two eagles. Now, eagles are not necessarily in that part of the world. The eagles that they're talking about here has to do with the United States of America. And here's a type of burning bush, which is nothing but the Kabbalah, the tree of life. And these are sephiroth. So this is the ancient form of what the tree of life would look like. And these two eagles are holding up pine cones. And what is pine cones? Pineal gland. They're holding up pine cones and they're holding up a bucket of water. Water is key, especially to the Fremen. Everybody saw the movie Doom? The Fremen are people that nobody thought existed, but they did exist. They did exist. That's you. That's you. If you talk about the concept of people that nobody thought existed, I'm trying to tell you around the world they don't know of you. You only know of you in Britain. And the people in the Caribbean know because that's your family. But in the United States and the other around the world, they don't know that there's a million of you. That's the Fremen. But the Fremen existed around water in the desert. They were water masters. Because melanin and water goes together. And how they keep you down is to dehydrate you. Dehydration and sleep deprivation. And melanin has to do with both. Melanin works with water and melanin works through sleep and dreams. That's why they keep electromagnetic force fields or high radio frequencies going all the time. And it's just electricity. Because that shuts down the melanin. Remember in the movie Matrix? In order for them to go to the architect, they had to shut off the electricity. Well, that's what they do. You got a TV, you got all these appliances in your home, and even if you unplug them from the wall, they got a battery on the inside of them. You got a cell phone, right? And your cell phone, you might not have your plug here now, but the cell phones is going off because I've heard them since I've been here. All right, it's the same concept with the TV. You can unplug it from the wall, but they got a battery on the inside that's still on. And even if you don't unplug it and you just cut it off, it says standby. It don't say it's off. New TV says standby. This is an electromagnetic force field, you see, that's going all the time that shuts down your dreams. And your dreams are portholes to the other world. Because that is where the war gonna come from. Now listen to me. It ain't got nothing to do with some race war or them locking down. Look, you getting ready to come back. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to go, I'm back. I'm God and I'm back. The return of the great old ones. That's who we are. But how it's going to happen? It's going to happen through your sleep. That's why they got you on lockdown with the sleep and you don't dream. Because the electromagnetic force field, you see what I'm saying, keeps things locked down. Keeps the pineal locked down. Now in America, Africa, America, the Caribbean, Mexico. I don't know, do you all have fluoride in your toothpaste here?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Fluoride.
Sensodyne doesn't have it. The pink one. Sensodyne doesn't have fluoride.
Okay. So, okay. And the water, and the tap water. It's in the water.
Yeah.
It's in the toothpaste. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. It calcifies the pineal gland, keeps you from the doorway of the dream world, or the dream realm. You see what I'm saying? Why are they trying to mess with your sleep? It's not how much sleep you get, but what type of sleep you get. The quality of sleep you get. But sleep deprivation is one of the #1 killers, and dehydration. You don't get enough water, you don't get enough sleep. Now, I go through 24 bottles of water in 2 days. I'm trying to tell you. You know the 24 case? I go through 24 cases of water in 2 days. That's what the Spirit had me go through. You see what I'm saying? So if you ain't, if you ain't cleaning out, you ain't shitting, you see, then you on lockdown. But water and sleep, that's why they give you jobs. And the fluoride, you see, shuts down the pineal gland. You see, all these things working against you. Why? Because they know it's in the new movie that came out last summer. You remember Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956? Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it's called Body Snatchers, 1993. They made 3 movies. The last movie they made called Invasion last summer. with Nicole Kidman. Now, as you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they always had the pod. That detonation thing in one of my pants pockets, in that black coat. They had the pod that they put beside the body. You remember that? And the pod takes on the form of this clone or what have you. But in the new invasion, you just went to sleep and woke up based on a microscopic organism. The microscopic organism they're talking about is melanin. Microscopic organism. Remember in the movie Star Wars, they call it midi-chlorians. This is some good stuff. This is echinacea, gold seal, propolis, throat spray. This is excellent. It's excellent for chemtrails. A lot of the chemtrails. And if you fly a lot, like I'm on a plane at least once a month, and that's cut that scale down since the 90s. If you fly a lot, there's a lot of recycled air. And a lot of white folks are sick all the time. Because I don't care how rich they get, they can't get off that pork. You know, we get a little bit of knowledge and that's the first thing go. But you got to realize something here. Elijah Muhammad said that pork was a medicine for them. I said, oh, that's ridiculous. That was in the theology of time. And then I learned several things that in Europe, the Europeans had all kind of disease and how they had to become immune to the disease. They used to have to literally put mud and walk around with dirt and filth to become immune to the disease. And the people who died a lot was the aristocrats. None of them ever took a bath, but they just didn't have the mud on. You see what I'm saying? So they would die. They was filthy, but they wasn't as filthy as the people that walk around in dirt and feces. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is if you're trying to get yourself immune from the muddy, filthy stench of Europe, what better way to get yourself immune to diseases than to eat the pig? Because the pig has all these diseases in it. And so that's why it became the essential diet of the morning. You know, the breakfast consists of all kind of hog, you know, sausage, bacon. You see what I'm saying? Early in the morning, because that was a form of immune system. That was an immune booster, or that was how they became immune to all the disease, the pig. You see what I'm saying? That's how they became. So my point here is, it is a medicine for them. But they have this recycled air on the plane, and I can tell the difference. They have this recycled air, and they sick a lot. You see. And, you know, you're flying on the plane and all, you know, so I have to take this echinacea gold seal throat spray based on that plane and stuff. But anyway, going back, where was I at? Invasion. The movie Invasion, you just go to sleep and wake up a new person based on a microscopic organism. That same microscopic organism they said in the Phantom Menace Star Trek was called midichlorians. And they were talking about, these are little intelligences. So now, let me explain this to you so we can understand what magic really is. It is said, anybody have people die, and your mama, your sister, your brother, your father, and immediately you can start dreaming about them. Where you couldn't when they was living. You can just dream about them immediately. That is because based on the Hermetic laws, which is the laws and the sciences of alchemy that the ancient Egyptians dealt with, when your ancestors die, they go to live inside of you. That's why the African will say, you know, I am standing on the shoulders of previous ancestors. Well, there's a metaphysical aspect of that that meant that they go to live inside of you. Now listen to this. If we take this basic Christianity or basic, if you could go from Christianity to the Book of the Dead, it doesn't matter. We know that all of that is talking about a future kingdom being founded. A future kingdom being founded. A future paradise being founded. A future state of higher elevation being founded. Well, if it hadn't been founded yet, then when your people died, then where do they go if there's no kingdom to be founded? You see? And Michael Talbot's book tells you this is a holographic universe. So, but you hear things as the universe or the heaven is within. So if there's no place that is founded or an establishment of a higher realm, Because we know that all religions and all spirituality talk about this being established in the latter part of that particular spirituality. Then where do they go? They have to go inside and live inside of the DNA of you. Now, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. This is all talking about magic. Because we got to demystify it to tell you where all this stuff is coming from. It's coming from outside of you and your ancestors, which is on the inside of you. Now, I was in Cleveland, Ohio about 5 years ago. About 4 years ago. Sister came up to me crying and all. She said, I went to Africa. And I went to Africa, and all the Africans, I think she went to Mali. She said, oh, I went to Mali because I knew that was my roots. Traced it back. And all the Africans, they would come up to me and see me, and they get to running. She said, every last one of them saw me, they would run like I had the bubonic plague. And she said, I don't know what it was. She said, all I know is I got this mark on my chest, or like a keloid on my chest. My mama had it, her mother had it, my daughter got it. And she said, when I went to Africa, they would look at that mark, and they get to running down the damn street. She was crying. She said, I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what this is about. I said, we'll get on the spiritual plane and find out what this is about. Apparently, the science that these Africans had, that they could mark, let's say your family was a thief. Because it's a cruel thing to do for generations, but they didn't have jail systems because the fuckers had magic. You heard Dr. John Henry Clark say they didn't have jail system. They didn't need no damn jail system. They dealt with a nigga the right way proper. So, if you was a thief, they would put a mark on you in your DNA based on some magic. And that mark would be on you and your family for generations. You see what I'm saying? For generations. And apparently some of her ancestors was thieves. And they put a mark on her. Here she coming back maybe 500 years later. And they running down the street because they know what time it is. But they wouldn't tell them. So I had to break the bad news to her. I said, just keep your ass in Cleveland. Because apparently this mark on you is not a disease. It's not life-threatening. It's just, it's when you go to Africa, it's got a little bit of problems over there. You know what I'm saying? Now this is interesting because that means that they can take magic and put into your DNA. And it can jump generations. Because it's in the molecules in the cells. So they have proven that the ancestors reside inside of you. So what is DNA and cells and genetics? They are nothing but spirits, ancestors. This is some amazing stuff. You see. And so they can have, so you know, one brother said, I got to go down to Florida and get some shit up off me. I said, man, you're the nicest brother I ever saw. So who would put some magic on you? He said, "Nice some stuff my great-granddaddy and them had on them. And it jumped my mama and them and came straight to me." You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of science that they was dealing with on a molecular level. Y'all all right? Yeah. Now this is a profound thing. This sister named Sharon Carter wrote the Mark of Voodoo book. She came, you know, to Atlanta. We had her to come in, and she was over in Benin. And the most remarkable thing she did say, and I thought out of all her stuff, you know, that was the most remarkable thing she said, because she held back a little bit, because she didn't think black people was advanced enough. And she was surprised that, shoot, yeah, I had about 9 years of me. Are you crazy? So, but she said something profound. She said when she got over to Benin, Africa, she said every African in the village told her about slavery in America and in the Caribbean and in the diaspora. She said, well, how the hell would you know about slavery? She said, there ain't no books, ain't no university, ain't nothing for miles around. You see what I'm saying? How would you know about slavery? They said, no. What happened was, when some of the ancestors from this area died in slavery and was freed from the body, they would come back to home, and they would tell us all about their experience in slavery. I thought that was some profound shit. There's nothing new under the sun, and I know now, never say what can't be done. So they knew all about slavery because their ancestors, once they was released from the body, they would come back home and tell them all about what they went through. That's the ones who couldn't fly home. Because some of them in slavery, here goes again, the magic was relegated to certain things. There was a time when all Africans used to fly. But then as time went on, certain amount of knowledge deteriorated and it got lost, and then it was relegated to certain families. So what happened was in the Western Hemisphere, in the Caribbean, and in the United States, and what have you, South America, they had some families that knew the science on how to fly. And what happened was when they got over here, immediately they flew the hell on back home. You see, there's documentation based on the people who could fly. Now you know that because how many people have dreams and they flying in their dreams? And how many people more and more now are having dreams and they're flying in their dreams? Huh? All right then. That means that that's a possibility. There's an old witch's tale that you can take a baby fat from a human baby and rub it all over you and you can fly. You see what I'm saying? You know, we don't get that extreme, but there got to be other methods because sooner or later, because your DNA is changing on you, you're going to be able to fly. Y'all all right? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Just a few other things before we go into this magic. Let's see if I can see a couple other things. This is interesting here, how life imitates art, or art imitates spirit. Let me see, can I find this thing right quick? This is the picture I'm trying to say. Look, this is the picture of the god Ptah. This is the god Ptah. Look how he's standing. That's the god Ptah. That's the one who fashions the bodies on his potter's wheel. He's a creator god. He's also a form of Osiris. But look at this particular picture here. Can you see that? This is the god Ptah. But look at this picture here. And nothing is by accident. This is Josephine Baker. And look at the stance. Everything is everything. Now, Ptah fashions men on his potter's wheel, which means he is a pioneer. Well, she was a pioneer in the entertainment world, you see. Just interested in certain things, how certain things go down. Look at this. Now, remember I was telling you yesterday about they got this, and if you ever go to Paris, which I mean, it's only an hour away on the train up here or something. If you ever go to Paris, this is from East India. Somebody was wondering yesterday, is this a black nation? Well, Elvira Gandhi said it was a black nation to President Carter back in 1979. Here's a picture of the Madonna and Child, which is, Mary and Jesus, Horus and Heru and Isis. Here's a picture of East Indian form of the goddess Lakshmi, which was a form of Aset, and a child the head is cut off, but it's a Christ-type child. But it's no mistaking this is a black woman. Look at them thighs and that booty. And look at the dreads or the locks in the hair. This is one that they give to the, so like I say, in Asia and India, because you got the black people, especially black people in Asia that they sequester to this day, if they hadn't killed them all off. And in India, they got just millions of dark black people, blue black people. The Dravidians and all that these statues later on became, these gods became these white-looking gods, but they used to reside with the Dravidians, and they were Africoids. If you want to say a Cushite, because that's Indus Kush. So this museum called Gimé, it's a small museum in France. People go to the Louvre, but the museum in Gimé specialized on all the black figures that China China, India, Tibet, that they want to get rid of because they don't want people to know that they're black nation. They ship them to this particular museum. And this is in the Museum of Hemmitt, but people don't know about it because it's a small museum. You see that? Now look at that and look at this picture here. Nothing is by mistake. That's nothing is by mistake. You see what I'm saying? Now I was talking about this picture a couple of years ago, and then I saw this on Time magazine, which is virtually the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, just keep your mind open when it comes to this election that's going down. You see what I'm saying? Because something happened when he went back to Africa. When he went back to Africa to his grandmother, which was this dark-skinned black woman from Kenya. Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to do the libation. So, does everyone know the procedure? No? You don't? You will. You know, basically, we're going to do the libation of the Orishas, the Neters, the universal energies, basically. These are archetypes which reside within you that Mr. Bobby's been speaking about. Basically, we're going to be calling them out. There's going to be some names that sound unusual to you. Some sound very usual. When we call out the names, you call that? Yeah. We say Ashe. Ashe just means, you know, it's you know, authority, power. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's power. It gives it that oomph at the end. You understand? So we'll be saying Ashe. Okay, so we're going to be calling out these deities. As we're calling them out, we'll be saying Ashe. Ogun, Ashe. Oshun, Ashe. Yemoja, Ashe. Olokun, Ashe. Asa, Ashe. Happy, Ashe. Promoter, Ashe. Happy, Ashe. Neptune, Ashe. Geb, Ashe. Nut, Ashe. Jupiter, Ashe. Mars, Ashe. Mercury, Ashe. Pluto, Ashe. Neptune, Ashe. Saturn, Ashe. Leviathan, Ashe. Enlil, Ashe. Anu, Ashe. Inki, Ashe. Tahuti, Ashe. Come on. Ashe, Ashe.
Start naming them out.
Ashe, Ashe. Come on, let's start going, man. Ashe, Ashe. Abatala, Ashe. Olaru, Ashe. Orumila, Ashe. Ashe. Eshuelegba, Ashe. 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 No. We're doing deities. Deities first. Ashe. Konsu, Ashe. Come on, let's start talking about Ashe. Ashe. Umpulupulu, Ashe. Ashe. Damoalawelo, Ashe. Okay. Ashe. Ashe. Rahim Kuruti, Ashe. Ashe. Come on, let's go. Oh yeah. Ashe. Ashe. Come on. Iroko, Ashe. 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 Buddha, Ashe. Krishna, Rudra, Ashe. Vishnu, Ashe. Shiva, Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Come on, let's go.
Ashe.
Any more? Ashe. Surah, Ashe. Come on, let's go. Ashe. Ganesh, Ashe. Ashe. Setuk, Ashe. Anubi, Ashe. Pluto, Ashe. Ashe. Aset, Ashe. Aroko, Ashe. Ashe. Uranus, Ashe. Ashe. Oh God, no. Ashe. Okay, we're going to be calling out the ancestors now. If you got people in your family who have passed, don't be afraid to call out their names. Family members, people, scholars who have passed away, we'll be calling them as well, calling on their energy as well. Brother C3 Manel, Ashe. Efrolu, Ashe. Marcus Garvey, Ashe. Bob Marley, Ashe. Tolerance Kuti, Ashe. Peter Tosh, Ashe. Sojourner the Truth, Ashe. Felicia Johnson, Ashe. Apostle Wanawo, Ashe. Brother Kuma, Ashe. Ashe. Dr. Sali, Ashe. Come on, let's go. Ashe. Ashe. Neputiti, Ashe. Neputari, Ashe. Ramesses, Ashe. Tupos, Ashe. Hannibal Barker, Ashe. Ashura Barker, Hanaka Barker, Ashe. 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 Malik El Shabazz, Ashe. Noble Drew Ali, Ashe. Ella Fitzgerald, Ashe. Miles Davis, Ashe. Julia Holiday, Ashe. Ashe. Bob Marley. Ashe. Fella Ransom Kuti. Ashe. Come on, let's go. Herbert Macaulay. Ashe. Nadia Zikwe. Ashe. Come on. Ashe. Oh, definitely. Ashe. Ashe. To all God. God's no. All ancestors, no. Ashe.
Right. There you go. All right. Wow.
All right.
Y'all having fun? Is the energy, the spirit rolling? The spirit is definitely rolling. That's all good. Don't worry, it'll evaporate. Oh yeah, there you go. I'll put a little on my head too. Oh yeah. All right. So it's interesting here because when they went to Kenya, the grandmother came out and she was talking to the reporters and she had a bowl and she kept stirring that bowl and she never stopped stirring that bowl. You see what I'm saying? So despite things happening, there's magical forces and the agenda the other forces got, this thing is happening and this thing is bigger than a political agenda. You can say you messed up when you put that African or that indigenous person on the road to power. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right. It's okay. A few other things here. This brother right here. Well, I want to show two things right now. Remember I showed you Sechet. Okay. Remember I showed you Sechet. And this is Sechet, which is the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, learning. And she who is foremost in the house of books. Well, in India, and this is a lighter picture of her, but her spirit still shines through. In India, she's called Sarasvati. Sarasvati, the goddess of music, wisdom, higher learning. And there's a peacock that's right beside her. Now it's interesting here because her husband is called Brahma. But in Hebrew, I said yesterday, Brahma is known as Abraham. These scramble the words. It's the same thing, and Brahma is older than Abraham. But Abraham has a wife called Sarah. Brahma has a wife called Sarasvati. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a lineage of a people that is exclusive when we talk about the Hebrew thing? Or we talk about one of many mythologies that somebody historicalized later on? And ultimately, you know what all those particular spirits and them gods is talking about in the past? They're talking about us in the future. So they say that they would write the future and tell the future, but the future would be for a later day race. They say most of those deities that's in the past never existed until now. They were talking about a future generation. So the gods, the Nettas, the Orishas, and all of them, although they were spirits, in the incarnation period, as far as the people on earth that they was talking about, when you hear these stories of earthly people, they were talking about a later generation. And we are the people that's fulfilling that generation. You see what I'm saying? You see, because they have no historical evidence a lot of time for these particular people. You see. And so this is how these things go on. Moving right along. Now, in America, I want to show this to let you know that this beast is still on his game. You might have heard about this. In America, they got a basketball player called LeBron James. He's a big star in the NBA. In Vogue magazine, get this right, Vogue magazine recently, back in May of this year, and I don't care what nobody say. If you got doubts about whether some energy, it doesn't matter about some political thing. This is a picture of Barack Obama and his wife. Now you got doubts about any type of thing. This got to be a very powerful picture. I don't care who you think it is and what political aspect you're saying, because one thing they don't do, they make sure that they don't never show us in a loving embrace on the media. They show the white boy as the lover and he's the most insufficient. But they never show the black man or the black woman in loving embrace. Even the Cosby Show, you ever seen him Bill Cosby grab his woman and slob her down? Hell, the Brady family was always kissing each other. And that is because if they don't show you in a loving embrace, somehow they can dehumanize you. So you're not considered human if you don't have any romantic shows or romantic cinema. When the last time you saw a black romantic cinema? You see what I'm saying? Now I got to give her credit because I didn't really think nothing of her until she made this movie called Last Holiday, Queen Latifah. And it was a movie, it was Last Holiday, and LL Cool J went all the way to one part, Holland or Switzerland or something,
Paris, France.
Paris or whatever, to get his woman. And they ended up back in New Orleans in a restaurant together. And that's probably one of the best love stories we had. It was brief because they make sure they don't show us in love and embrace, because they know if you don't never see the black man and the black woman together, in some kind of way, it makes you not human if they're never shown in romance. You see what I'm saying? They can dehumanize you. You see, this is interesting how these things go on. They can dehumanize you if they don't show you in romance. So this picture right here is worth 1,000 words. And all over Atlanta, they got this picture. The black community has got this picture, and somebody's blown these pictures up 11 by 17, and they selling them. And they're selling them all over Atlanta. Because something is resonating with that. They got t-shirts right now, the Obama thing. Years ago, it was Tupac. Everywhere you look was Tupac t-shirts. In America, all black people are wearing this Obama t-shirt. So my point is, it don't even matter if he wins or not, which he is, because McCain ain't going to make it to the end of the year. That's right. He might not make it out of the summer. You see what I'm saying? And he get ready to die. You see. But just this alone, the image of this alone, you see what I'm saying? We've never seen nothing like that. Just the mere fact that he's standing before thousands of people, they hug each other. That's a powerful sign. And that's Isis and Osiris. That's what that's about. And that's one of the reasons why they don't never show this. But the simple fact here is, it's Isis and Osiris. You see. And that's why they don't show it. You see, in that iconology. So I just want to put that up there. But, moving right along, a few other things. This is LeBron James on Vogue. On Vogue. You heard of the controversy. You heard this thing, they put him on Vogue, and he's holding this white model in his hand, in his arms, and they got it grinding like doggone King Kong, but they got it from this picture here, same green dress, with King Kong holding the white woman. This is where they got it from. This is where they got it from. They took this picture of 2005 with King Kong holding the white woman in the green dress on the Empire State Building. And they came back and they had all these sports figures and entertainers, and then they put him with the same pose, grinding just like doggone King Kong. Now what are the messages they trying to say? It means that they are still at work. And this is an international magazine. You see what I'm saying? And they put this here. And the problem here is this. Sometimes they'll do things, probably in your country too, they'll do things as a monitor to see where your consciousness is, to see whether you get mad. Now, they'll see whether you are just dumbed down to the point that you don't care. Now, in a regular situation, people were supposed to step to Vogue and burn down Vogue headquarters. You see what I'm saying? Because we backwards. We'll burn up our communities when we get mad. We're not going to go to Master's house. They're supposed to burn down Vogue headquarters to send a doggone message. But they can do this to monitor to see where these people's consciousness is now. So it got a few little arguments on the internet and a few radio shows, but it never made a national issue for somebody to call you an ape. You see what I'm saying? Never made a national issue. And sometimes they do that as a monitor to see where our consciousness is. You see, and that's exactly what this was about. That means whenever we thinking, oh, you know, it's just a new day now, they are still saying, no, it's warfare all the time, always, because we are a warfare machine. You see what I'm saying?
Now, even interviewed him as well, didn't they? And he wasn't too bothered about it.
Yeah, they interviewed him, and he wasn't upset, or he became an apologist to it. You see what I'm saying? But then again, on the other ones, they pick the ones they already have a profile on. Let me tell you how deep this thing is. This ain't nothing but, because Hakeem Voodoo said that this wasn't nothing but a new form of slavery. Because when they get tired of your ass, they trade you to another team. That's like selling you down the river. You know what they did back in the National Football League, the basketball league about 4 or 5 years ago? When they had the draft and they was picking them, they had their profile. Well, he has a chip on his shoulder. He has an attitude. They was profiling them based on their pathologies. Like they were cattle or like they were slaves. Right on national TV. And nobody thought about it. Nobody said anything about it because that's how dumbed down we are now. You see what I'm saying? And they do these things to monitor. So this just went down in March. You see. So, and this is April's magazine, because they come out a month before. This just went down in March. You see what I'm saying? And they do this to see where people's consciousness is. You see. And that's what I was trying to say. We're just drones. You see, we just drones. You see what I'm saying? No thought capacity. It's called automaton. We're on automation. Get the book, because you try to understand how things go down the way. When you say, why people ain't waking up? Get the book, Opening of the Way, by Isha Swala de Lubitz. Don't ask me how to spell it. Isha Swala de Lubitz. You can get it by an author, or you can get it by the title. It's called The Opening of the Way by Isha Swala de Lubitz. And they talk about how you got some humans that's enlightened and some humans are on what is called automation or automaton. So these zombies you see out here, that's not conscious, that's automaton. It's like automation. It's like something is running a machine and there's no thought process. Now, you know, it's interesting because the woman Sally Ann Glassman, she got a book called Voodoo Visions. They also, her and another guy, Louis Martinez, they wrote the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot deck. Well, they went back down to Haiti and they found out that zombies, there's a magical zombie that you can take a person, put his soul in a bottle, or you can do some operation and have a zombie come to the point whereas he can work for you and it's just this robot for you. You've heard about that type of zombie. But they come to find out when they went down, there was so much zombie in the mythology, they say, well, what is this talking about? They say, no. A zombie can also be a race of people that's dead. So they talk about this division of spirits, this community, this priest community, and there's a zombie community. So the dead folks out here, I know you got a lot of them right here in Britain. That's the Haitians call that a class of people called the zombies. That's not necessarily talking about the magical ones robot. They're just talking about a race of dead people. We got our zombies in America. It's very interesting here. Very interesting. Another spirit that is now on the scene and is very powerful at this time is Big Mama. Big Mama is called Yemenya or Yemonja in Yoruba and Santeria. She's called Emiya in Dogon. That's the key. Because I did a tape called Emiya, the Rise of the Dogon Goddess, and she's the third star of Sirius C, the third star in the Sirius star system, Emiya, the planet of woman that will rule in the future. And Yemenya came back to the planet, and I told this story, how I went to this voodoo preacher's house, the voodoo priest, and he had a bathroom done up in blue to Yemenya. So the vision gave me, said, when you go home, do your vision to Yemenya and Emiya in turquoise. So I did the whole bathroom and part of the house in turquoise, the drapes and stuff in turquoise. And you would think that she was decorating, but I did most of the decorating, going back and forth from the store, because that's when you get possessed or obsessed. So I did the whole thing in turquoise. And then when Queen Elizabeth had to come over to America to bless this Roanoke colony, and all the white women showed up in black and they showed up in pink, and they had their hats on, she bust up in turquoise. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then we got the channel, they said, well, hell, she got her soothsayer, she got her psychics. And the psychics say, wait a minute, the energy over there is turquoise based on Yemen, y'all. So she broke out in turquoise in America. And she went to the Kentucky Derby, she had on aquamarine, lighter form of turquoise. So don't think that they ain't on it. They following us while we following them. You see what I'm saying? But then again, she got nigga in her family. See what I'm saying? You heard the whole Queen Charlotte thing and all? You see? Something rotten in the cotton. You see? So my point here is, but Yemiya is on the scene, real powerful, but also Emiya. You'll hear about that Emiya in the Serious Mystery book. My water. The Serious Mystery book. I think there's some right up right there. Yeah. In the Serious Mystery book by Robert Temple. Emiya is the third planet from the star system Sirius. Now, I'm going to talk about another thing that is going on right now. And then we're going to go into a couple of rituals and different things like that. I'll give you a list of rituals and things. We got something for everything. Healing, money. Cause I just huh? To bring down the system? Oh, most definitely. That's already happening. But we work at that every day. That's a good one. We work at that every day. We're gonna get into all that because you can do it. We can do it with the weather. The Nation of Islam used to say that the white man can't lock up the weather. Can't lock up the tornadoes and the rain. And a lot of things that's happening right now, those are people. Remember now they had a guy, a African priest that they got mad in South Africa, and he made it so it didn't rain for 6 months. Now that night, 6 months. And you see what I'm saying? And it made sure that half of them couldn't get no sleep. So there's things that happen to bring down the system. So we're going to deal with that, all of that too. We're going to deal with all of that too. But what was my one thing that I was getting ready to go into? Yes. I was getting ready to go into something. In 1950s, there's a British occultist called Kenneth Grant. Get my glasses right there. Or those yours? Yeah. I tell the story. I had 20/20 vision.
Don't even go there.
Till she came to town, I hooked up with her. And all of a sudden, I started going blind as soon as I hooked up with her. I guess because, she was wearing glasses. But there's a symbiotic relationship with stuff like that. I throw it in my bag. You see, there's a symbiotic relationship. You'd be surprised all kind of things when you mold together. And I remember when I first got with her, I went to New York and I was urinating in the toilet in New York when she was in Atlanta, because she had come down from D.C. I could smell her urine in my urine. So that means that you do connect. You see what I'm saying? So even when they came up and say, when you have AIDS, you have slept with so many people for so many relationships back. Yes, because that stuff is all this inside of your DNA and it never goes away. So that means you could have a person you was going with in 1975 or 1965, and one morning you was madly in love with them, but they've been dead since 1978. And then you'll wake up one morning and you'll be in love with them. Anybody ever had this before? Somebody old enough to have a person, and then one morning you wake up and you feel the love that you felt with a person 30 years ago. Anybody had this experience? Huh? Okay, what that is you share a force field and an essence. You see, you share an essence with who you sleep with, and marriage is basically who you copulate with, not with the ceremony. The word marriage comes from the alchemical thing of sexual union, sexual marriage. But in so many words, but I said this at the lecture the other day, that the reason why you feel that love is because when you fall in love, the person who you fall in love with is only the catalyst to produce the dopamine that you have, this euphoria of love. The love that you're actually feeling is actually your own soul. And you thinking you're in love with this person, you don't understand that what you're feeling is your own soul. So that's why 30 years down the road you can feel it again. You see what I'm saying? There's a book called Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Vaughan Lee. Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Vaughan Lee. And what you're supposed to do when you fall in love, if you ever have the opportunity, you're supposed to let it consume you. A lot of men fight it. When I was young, I used to fight it. Go to all my friends, getting their advice, don't want to face the facts. You see what I'm saying? And one brother stepped to me and said, hey man, you need to go quit talking to all these guys. See, they're only giving you their experience. And whatever you're going through, you need to know it. It's for you. It's not for them. They can give you all the experience on what you're going to do about this love. But face the fact. So as I got older, I found out, and wiser in this knowledge, you let it consume you. You just surrender to it. Submission is power. So you let it give you the beat down. And then you get the benefits from it. Because all you're doing when you're surrendering to it, you surrendering to your own soul, rising to another level. You see what I'm saying? And when you do that and stuff, you go to another level. And that's the true level of elevation or true level of going to a high level of spirituality called transformation or transmutation. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right, let me get my glasses. I want to say this and we're going to go in. I want to say this because this is what's going down right now. This is what's going down right now. All right, let me get some glasses. I got a couple pair. Let me hold you over here. Yeah. Yes, I can. I got about 2-3 pair, but yeah. Let me. Yeah, I got it. Look, let me see here now. I want to show you something here. Ain't you blind? That's what I'm saying. I got a headache. You 2 miles from a king. I know. You know, she was deaf. She was blind long before I was. This is a new phenomenon. I just got glasses last year. She had them a couple of years before me, so her prescription is a little bit more powerful. You see what I'm saying? I want to show you something here. It's in a book called Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. The Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. And this guy is paraphrasing in this particular, Kenneth Grant is paraphrasing the Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. And let's see here. Page 165. I want to read something to you. And I want to read something that came into being in the fall of 2007. The fall of 2007. And let's see, 2007. Bear with me 1 minute. I want to get this thing 1 minute. Fall of 2007. And there's a unity. Come to find out that all the gods and the goddesses, you know they say there's evil forces and there's good forces. But there come a time when they say the forces in the heavens will join together and become one. So all this war in heaven is energies and they have become one. Now I want to show you this. The only thing that have become one is us. You see what I'm saying? Now, this has to do with this goddess right here. Her name is Yeminya, and she came in. She even got the little feminine chain on and stuff. So, you know, and I want the people to know if they just turn it on the DVD. You see what I'm saying? I ain't got no sugar in my tank. These are my women. I ain't detecting a hint of mint. This is my woman's glasses now. Okay, now. They talk about Emiya, which is Yeminya in Nigeria, Benin, and it's Yemonja in Nigeria, Yeminya in Santeria, Latin America, what have you, and it's Emiya Dogon. So it says 97 denotes, that's the numerical value, denotes Emiya, the star around the Sirius star system, in which Umo rotates. Now, apparently what had happened is this, that word Umo, let me get my glasses again, U-M-M-O, and let me explain what this is about. In 1975, there was a guy by the name of Jacqueline Valley, wrote a book called The Messengers of Deception a little bit later. But he said something happened. Now what happened here is, you all know about the Jehovah's Witness. They had them nuisance up here, knocking on your door on Saturday. All right. But they got some science. You see what I'm saying? They just read the science wrong. All groups got some science. The Jehovah's Witness had this prophecy in the 70s. Now I remember that they was real big in the 70s. But they had a prophecy that the world would come to the end in 1975. And when the prophecy didn't come true, it broke the system and they became smaller, and they never was as big as they were before. But they had this prophecy since the 1800s when they formed. Now remember the Jehovah's Witness, the Branch Dravidians, all of them groups, the Seventh-day Adventists, they all come out of one origin of some preachers and stuff from the 1800s that said that the world would end in 1899 or something. And after that didn't happen, these other splinter groups came out. Or 1888, one of those times. Now anyway, they had this prophecy that the world would end in 1975. They just read the prophecy wrong. The prophecy was in 1975, they had a group of occultists, magicians around the world, that got together and channeled some energy, and an extraterrestrial government, which is always in the spirit realm. Never no physical round tin cans you see out there. That's all the government. Man-made UFOs from 1947 up to now. Our spirit, our vessels are angelic, and they're not physical. And they're ancestral. You see. Notice the difference on what our extraterrestrial forces are. Because the government going to throw you off. You see, they got people operating with little bug eyes on people. That ain't nothing but the government got people drugged up and got a little spacesuit on. Now, y'all all right? Yeah. Okay, now let's follow this. In 1975, a group of people did this transmission, and when the transmission came through, they said a group of star people called Umo. Umo is the name of a self-styled extraterrestrial government, which was recorded under the name The Destination of the Wolf. Remember, Emiya is the Dogon goddess, but the wolf is another symbol of the fox, and all that, and the fox and Anubis and all that stuff, and the pale fox, all that stuff got something to do with the Dogon mysteries of the star Sirius. So, in so many words, this group came from Sirius, the dog star, and said that there was an extraterrestrial government called Umo. Now, listen what's going on here. They write the history years in advance. So, after they got this transmission, the government went to work and started giving you all this UFO crap the way they want to give it with the bug-eyed people and all this. And so now when you read them books, you don't know what to believe, because half the stuff is messed up and stuff, because half that stuff is government agents like David Icke and all of them. They work for the Illuminati. That's right. You reading all that stuff. And the reptilian they're talking about is the Kundalini people, the Uraeus serpent, which is talking about your third eye and your Kundalini energy. That's the reptilian that they are against. They are against your energy. So they got you scared of reptilian. You scared of your own energy. The serpentine people, the serpentine fire, Earth, Wind, and Fire told you that 31 years ago in All album. Now, this Umo that they talked about ended up being something for the future. ended up being something in the future. Now, and it says that the stars and the configurations that influence or sign or era of or age of Gemini will influence the earth once again. So they're saying that the age of Gemini that they were talking about was something was pre-dynastic Egypt. You would know it as Atlantis, Lemuria, what have you. You see what I'm saying? It's just a part of our history that goes back so remote in the past. You see what I'm saying? Until the speculation on how a lot of this stuff existed, but it did exist. And a lot of it existed in another realm. You see, now, or another frequency. Now, this, they say, will influence the time again. This UMO, this extraterrestrial transmission, in the fall of 2007, because they'll get a transmission and they'll think that it was 1975. The Jehovah's Witness thought that the world was going to end because they read the prophecy wrong or the transmission wrong because they got it and it broke their system. But whatever it was, it came back around in the fall of this year under the name OMOZ, O-M-O-Z, or extraterrestrial government. Osiris, it doesn't matter about how they do the Greek one or whatever because all that was Egyptian. Osiris, Mayat, Obatala, and Zarabanda. Zarabanda is the Congo. Obatala, you know, Yoruba land, which is Nigeria, and would also extend all the way into America, Santeria. Palo Monombe is the Congo rights in Latin America and in Cuba. And then you got Osiris and Maya. So Osiris, Mayat, Obatala, and Zarabanda. And each one of these represent a section of black people around the world because Osiris and Maya can even go all the way up into India, Asia, what have you. And Zarabanda and Obatala goes all the way to the west. So there's this group of extraterrestrial government called OMOZ that is back now. But where are they? Each one of those particular deities you can trace inside of your DNA. You are the OMOZ, the extraterrestrial government that's rising up. But it's inside of your DNA and it's worked through magic. Y'all all right?
Yes.
All right. You want to take a break or you want to...
4 minutes, and then half an hour break, and then we...
Okay, 4 minutes. Okay, so let me just do this, and then we come back, we're going to get down with some serious ritual. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's get down. Let's get busy. Let's see what we got here. Hold on 1 minute. 4 minutes. Okay, hold on 1 minute. See if I find a couple of other overlays to throw on you. This is a great time, I tell you. Here we go. As you know, this is the child Horus, or Heru. And his baby thing, he's called Harpocrates. And Harpocrates is also called Hercules. Hercules gets through 2 serpents in his bed, and he kills them. The serpents also represents his serpentine energy. Harpocrates got the child Horus. This is what your baby Jesus. The child Horus, where it comes from. The child Heru or Horus has 2 scorpions in his hand. And it means that he is untouched and can't be destroyed because of his innocence. See, the only thing that destroys you down here is arrogance and ego. Innocence saves your lives. You see what I'm saying? And it humbles you. So because he's innocent, he is protected. Because he doesn't have the interruption of the ego that is blocking his soul out so that the forces, the elemental forces that has come down here to protect him won't be able to protect him because of the arrogance that's blocking out you see what I'm saying, his energies are to his soul, which is the ego, hindering him. He doesn't have that problem because he's innocent. So therefore the elemental forces will protect him and protect you based on humility. Now this is the problem why we got a lot of problem with humility. We think that humility is talking about humbling yourself to another human or another principality. They ain't talking about that. Humility is to humble yourself to allow your soul to function on a high level. So you humble yourself to your soul. I, self-Lord and Master Islam. You see what I'm saying? Your soul is the God. You see what I'm saying? That you humble yourself to. Not some being up in the sky. And when you humble yourself to your soul with humility, you allow your soul to start to function on a higher level because it doesn't have the interruption of the ego. You see? So that's why they say you must come as a little child, like a little baby. You see what I'm saying? So, right now I don't have no scruples whatsoever. I have gotten rid of all the things of embarrassment that my ego used to, the pride that my ego used to have. I've gotten rid of all of that type of stuff right now. You see what I'm saying? But if I look, when I was in college and I was wearing them suits, if I looked in the future and see myself with a big gut like this, I probably would have fell out. There would be no way that I could stand before people looking like this. See what I'm saying? And all. But that person has been dead. You know what I'm saying? That person has been dead. And my queen can tell you, because she saw a mystery, I hardly eat anything. First thing happens in, they talk about this in Buddhism, and I know this to be true. What happens here is you start taking on knowledge. And the more and more knowledge you get, your metabolism will respond to the knowledge the same way it responds to food. That's why you got the Buddha with the big stomach. So what happens, the more food, the more knowledge you get, the more your cells line up, and it responds to it responds to your body just like food. The metabolism does, which responds to the knowledge. So I am fat on knowledge. Wow. Another thing also too. You see, now, out of this whole ordeal of the West, I've been the poet's lecturer on the circuit. I think I was $300 for most of the 90s. Yeah. Now, so anyway, but I'm rich on knowledge. That's the richness. Because they say a rich man from the West will come to you. And I realized that was in some Crawley's work, and I realized they were talking about the date. A rich man from the West will come. And they're talking about this particular knowledge and information and stuff. So you don't trade that for the world. But the key here is this particular deity, which is Bes. Now you have to deal with Bes because Bes is a fairy. He represents the other world or the quantum world, the fairy kingdom. This is Bes. And so it represents the fairy kingdom. And it's a monster that set over Horus, which is the Christ. But it also, this particular Horus lock represents what is called the Barahadna chakra, which is talking about the inner ear melanin. So Bes, which is over him, is also inside of him. He is the pineal, and he is the active form of melanin, but he's also a fairy. White folks is into fairies. That's some real deal stuff. So, and Bes is a fairy. So white folks, Bes becomes the leprechaun in Ireland. You see, this is the Bes deity, also called the All God in Egypt. That becomes the leprechaun in Ireland. That's the magical aspect of the fairy kingdom. Of the fairy kingdom. You see, so they're dealing with all of that type. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Look at this. Show you some things here. Let me show you a picture. You ever heard of the, you remember I saw the movie The Dark Crystal? I saw the movie The Dark Crystal. Let me see what I want to show you something here. The artist from The Dark Crystal did a tarot deck called a fairy tarot deck. And they went and they got this stuff from these, they went and actually drew they drew into existence on what people could see in the astral world or the fairy world. And they got the artists to come and detail what these people could see in the several worlds. This is a fairy of healing. This is an actual fairy or a spirit of healing that the same artists who worked on the movie Dark Crystals drew. And this is a fairy of healing. So this is how we look outside of the body. This is how we look outside of the body. And this particular entity heals. Well, the god that sits over the fairy in Egypt is Bes. The all god Bes. And as you can see, he's sitting over the Christ child Horus, over the head. All this is the ancestors. They are called the, I got to get the word, the Kawi, the something in Ghana. When the sister Rosalind Jeffries, which is the wife of a brother named Leonard Jeffries, which is an Afrocentric scholar in New York. Rosalind Jeffries had been going to Africa, going to Ghana since 1959 or something. So she heard my tapes in the early 90s, and in 1994, she went to Africa and started asking them about metaphysical questions. And the people in Ghana pointed to the trees, and she said, Bob, there was little people in the trees. She said, damn, I've been coming here for almost 20-something years at the time, close to 30 years. She said, I've been coming here almost over 30 years. And you ain't never showed me that before. They said, you never asked. Yeah, we gonna show you something and have you running back to America, you know, all scared and stuff. So, but there was the fairies that was in the tree. That's why I'm talking about this fairy realm. This shit is happening as we speak. Okay? So, last summer, a sister's on Inner Light Radio. What's the sister name? I know they brought that broadcast over here, Inner Light Radio. Can't think of the sister names right now. Anyway, she was over in Ghana, and they showed her the fairies. And they got a name, they got a book out on them, and I got the name is there. So I'll find the name before we leave. They got a name for these particular fairies, these ancestral spirits of the little people. Now they got another sister named Aviva, moved to Ghana before Christmas of 2007. She came back in February. I'm like, why you back? You moved over there. She said, I was in my room and I saw some little fairy people in Ghana. They told me to take my ass home. Well, this stuff is real. Now, this is the deal. I got a letter from a woman in March that's been living in Ghana. So a lot of what's happening here, a lot of the people from America, a lot of African Americans, when they retire, they get their pension, their Social Security, and they move to Ghana because, you know, Ghana still got that thing where the land set aside for the people who want to return. So they look up and they got a whole community of returning Caribbean and African Americans. So what they did with the Americans, as of January, they done cut up their Social Security, they done cut out their pension, they done cut out everything. Told them, you no longer American citizens, so we don't have to give you shit. So you be like, they can't do that, they can do what they want to do. So they done cut out this stuff to force them to come back home. So they got all these people over there that done retired, and they got their last checks or anything in January. She called me, she wrote a letter to me saying we don't know what we're going to do because we got to come back to America. You see what I'm saying? So when the sister was over there, they told her to get out of there because the simple fact, you know, they knew that them checks wasn't coming and they knew some stuff was messing up. Which leads us to this. Okay, this is a brother that used to live on the planet Earth by the name of Sylvester. Anybody ever heard of Sylvester? Sylvester, I know Sylvester, let me show you how the spirit world works. Sylvester was murdered by the United States government under the guise of AIDS or AZT for one reason. Naturally, Sylvester was gay. Okay, we understand that. But apparently the government has figured out that they fear a gay black man for some reason. And what had happened was this. Now, when I was in college at Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, we had a gay club up the street that we used to go in fear of walking past because we didn't want nobody on the college campus to see us walking past stuff. Because the rumor might get out that we was coming out of the club. We used to go in fear of this shit. That homophobia. You see what I'm saying? Now, one day I walked outside because it was up the street in front of the college campus. And I walked out the dormitory and walked out near the front gate of the college campus, and I said, man, and I saw thousands of cars. And I said, what the hell is going on? Who's that? What's up? I said, wait, did the aliens land? I said, I've never seen this many cars in my life. And the security guard say, oh, that's Sylvester performing down the street. And I always remember that. But what it was, the power that this man had over the gay world, the government got concerned about that. Because despite his pathology, he's still a black man. And he got a soul. You see what I'm saying? And they were concerned about that, the power that this man had over white people. And they took him out. But look at this also. Look what the Spirit's showing you. Look how this brother is dressed. Like a damn pharaoh. Like a pharaoh. See, they get channels on people with their magicians and their soothsayer. And although the people might not know that they are great, they know. You see, this man has got this kind of power. He got to go. See what I'm saying? Now, what do they call gay people? Fairies. Sure we want to talk about it. Now, I wouldn't pay this no attention because I'm heterosexual. You see what I'm saying? And I'm heterosexual. And I went to go get a colonic one time, and the woman was like, yo, we got to go real slow with yours. Because your booty hole is almost non-existent. So I ain't built to be no gay person. I could barely get a colonic. I just want to say that, but I want to say that to say this I want to preface that because I know y'all Caribbeans, y'all got a certain taboos. You see what I'm saying? More so than other people, except the Jamaicans and stuff like that. So I need to preface what I say so I can get to come back here in the future and don't be branded. I'm aware that I'm talking to the Caribbean family. See, I might be able to get away with some shit in America because they got a whole lot of gay people in the church choir. But see, that might not stick with the Rasta man and all that type of stuff. And I heard y'all got a whole lot of gay people running around Jamaica. You see what I'm saying? But you still put up that front. I want to preface myself when I say this. To say what this about this whole fairy thing and try to find out what's really going on here, why they would kill him, and this happened. There was a group of gay guys out of New York City made a movie called Paris is Burning. Might have heard about this movie, saw this movie. It's a movie called Paris is Burning. And they were the ones that invented the Vogue. Remember the Vogue that Madonna and them was doing? The Vogue back in the early part of the 90s? Well, these guys invented the Vogue, and they would do these Vogue contests, and they would sew their clothes up, and they would do these dance choreographers, and as a result, they made a movie called Paris is Burning. Now, I never thought nothing about it. You see what I'm saying? Because it was a gay movie, it took me years to watch it. So I watched it in 2003 on cable one night. The brother named Panic in New York hit me to something. He said, you know all them gay brothers in that movie? He said the government came in and killed every last one of them. I'm like, wait a minute, let me get the flag going up here. What is about these guys that the government is so threatened that they'll come in and kill every last one of them? And the deal is this. Now, apparently, what they were afraid of is if you take a gay guy without the sexual thing, what is it? It's a person that's gotten in touch with his feminine side, but then again, on the other hand, but the sexual aspect of that type of thing, you see what I'm saying, with the dookie love thing, you see what I'm saying, is overcompensation. Y'all, see, listen to me. Now listen. So anyway, I'm just trying to show you how the government works on things and how they study things. Apparently, they look at that and they say these are talented people and they got all this kind of thing. And these particular people, they look at this and they go, wait a minute. They are in fear of certain things that go down for the simple fact that they're always looking for the out of the ordinary. So it's just interesting how they would kill all these particular people up. You see, there was something in them that they saw that they feared. And the whole concept of that is this. Now let's take it out of the gay thing and try to understand the concept on what the God thing is supposed to be dealing with. We were one entity at one time, and then we were split in two, male and female. So when you look at a female, you are trying to get back something. You're attracted to that female. You're trying to get back something that you lacked or you missed in a time when your entity was one. So as far as they're concerned, that's called the Isis and Osiris drama. So with them, when they see certain things, they react to it. So I just want to make those things awareness of how they was. And so when this brother here put on the Pharaoh's outfit, they took this brother out. You see what I'm saying? Now, for the people, we're going to go to a break. But for the people who was not here before, we have these particular rituals. We got a few left. We got the third eye ritual. And this is, let's see, y'all British money, this is £2.50. And we got the Nephilim ritual, which is this lion deity, that came back to the planet in July of last year. We have his ritual. We also have his picture. The picture is £2.50, and the ritual book has any kind of rituals. This is an actual papyrus that came out of ancient Hemmitt. And it was sent to me in the mail. It's got meta, and it has the actual translation. But when it was sent to me to the mail, this lion deity said it was his ritual. So we've been selling these things in the United States, and people have been getting it and being very successful with it. So it's something you get and put aside, and then when it's time for you to go to jail or get foreclosed, you find what is equivalent to what you need, burn a red candle and recite the ritual. Very powerful stuff. It's working in the United States. We got good feedback with this thing. So this is some spiritual thing that's going down. And we have all these spiritual pictures up here, some of them that I was showing, and we'll show after we get back. All of those are £2.50, which is equivalent to $5, I guess, in America. You know, yeah. Huh? And utilize the vendor. So we're going to shut down, we'll cut on the light. We got a lot more information. When we come back,
just before we leave, we're going to be moving because there's a lot of people who can't get seats. We're going to be moving to the... We are going to be moving to the next room. It's a lot bigger and everybody will be able to sit down because we are going to be here for a few hours. So there's stuff to eat, there's books and DVDs and whatnot. But when we come back, we're going to be it's up there.
So if anybody...
So bring your chair with you when you're going, and then we're going to be in the bigger room.
Thank you.